Hi, welcome to Loft 801. My name is Diego, and today I'm talking about Invincible Season 3. Man, this season was insane. I'm just gonna say it right now, Invincible Season 3 is my favorite season of the show so far. I loved Season 1, I thought Season 2 was fantastic, but Season 3 felt like the show fully understanding what makes it special and then doubling down on it in the best way possible. This season is emotional, brutal, tragic, exciting, and honestly one of the best animated superhero seasons ever. What I love about Invincible is that it continues to prove that you don't need constant jokes or quips to keep your attention. This show is so much more interested in consequences, pain, fear, trauma, and character choices. And because of that, every punch matters more, every death matters more, every relationship matters more. The violence in this show is not just there to look cool. It leaves scars, it changes people. And I think Season 3 does a phenomenal job of showing that. One of the strongest things about this season is how much it feels like Mark is just being crushed from every angle. He's trying to become stronger, trying to figure out who he is, trying to navigate love, trying to protect his family, trying to understand what it really means to be a hero, and the entire season keeps forcing him into situations where his old worldview just doesn't hold up anymore. That's what makes this season so compelling to me. It doesn't just throw threats at Mark physically, but it attacks him morally. It attacks his ideals, it attacks his image, it attacks his sense of control. He's constantly being confronted with the reality that being powerful is not the same thing as being prepared, and being good is not the same thing as being effective. I also really love how this season balances multiple storylines without making this world feel bloated. You've got the fallout with Cecil, Mark and Eve's relationship, Oliver developing more of his own worldview, Titan and the Order, Powerplex, Angstrom's surveillance and his revenge plan, the Invincible War, and then Conquest. That sounds like way too much on paper, but this season handles it really well because all of these plots tie into the same narrative thread. What kind of man and what kind of hero is Mark actually becoming? This season doesn't give him any easy answers, and I like that. This season has a very heavy tone, but not in the same way as Season 2. Whereas Season 2 was more about the aftermath of Omniman, questioning grief and identity, Season 3 is more about moral hardening. Yes, there's a lot of grief, guilt, anger, and helplessness running through the season, but it's all grounded in the characters. That's why it works so well when it asks the hard questions, what would you do to protect your family? For example, one of the big questions is about whether mercy is actually mercy. How many times do you let villains come back? How many lives have to be destroyed before somebody draws a line? How much damage is caused by refusing to do what needs to be done? I really like that this season continued to push Mark closer and closer to Oliver's perspective. One of my favorite things about this season is that it challenges the very classic superhero morality of never kill under any circumstances. Because the reality is, in this world, villains keep escaping, they keep destroying, and they keep killing people, and heroes keep capturing them, and the cycle continues. I actually found myself agreeing with Oliver a lot this season. When I think about typical heroes like Batman, he is just as bad of a villain as somebody like the Joker. He has the blood of hundreds of thousands, even millions on his hands because he refuses to kill villains. So Oliver and I are on the same page, and I'll talk a little bit more about Oliver shortly. Season 3 continues one of the show's best strengths, which is showing that major events don't stop or disappear just because the episode ended. Chicago still matters, Omniman still matters, public perception still matters, Mark's failures still matter, people on Earth carry trauma from what happened. Season 3 never lets the audience forget that this world remembers pain, and that gives the show so much more weight than a lot of superhero shows. One of the issues with a show like The Boys is that there aren't really any stakes or consequences to anything. I haven't seen Season 5 yet, maybe that changes. From Season 4 and everything prior to it, VOT marketing removes any sense of stakes. If the writers want to go in a different direction, then they can just use the VOT marketing machine as a nifty excuse for changing the public opinion and going in any direction that they want. Invincible doesn't do that. No amount of PR marketing can salvage Mark's reputation with humanity, especially after this season. Because, as with previous seasons, the character writing is amazing. Mark continues to be one of the most interesting superhero protagonists out there because he is strong, but he's still immature in a lot of ways. He wants to do good, but he's still naive. He wants to protect people, but he still doesn't always understand the cost of his choices. I really like that this season doesn't portray him as some perfectly righteous guy. At times, he's hypocritical, like with his anger against Darkwing and Sinclair. At times, he's reckless, like when he attacks Cecil in his White Room. At times, he's terrifying from the outside looking in with how he threatens Cecil. And I love that this show is self-aware enough to let other characters call that out. Cecil was probably one of my favorite characters this season. I love the backstory we got for him, and I love that the show gives him enough depth that he never just feels like the shady government guy. He's a man who is willing to do the awful things if he thinks they are necessary to protect the Earth, and the thing is, a lot of the time he is right. Or at the very least, he is a lot more justified than a lot of the heroes in the show want to admit. I don't agree with everything he does, but I absolutely understand him, and I think that complexity makes him such a strong character. Oliver was another huge standout for me. I loved how blunt he is, how dangerous he is, how intelligent he is, and how willing he is to say the uncomfortable thing that nobody else wants to say. His indifference towards killing repeat threats is one of the boldest ideas in the season, and I love how much the story committed to that tension. Seeing him drenched in the Mauler's blood was a terrifying sight. Seeing him ride or die for his brother was respectable. He's still a kid in many ways, but he's forcing Mark to confront truths that he's been avoiding. Repeat offenders need to get put down, and Mark needs to get stronger to protect his family. Eve was great too, with how the season lets her be emotionally important and physically important. Yes, she's a love interest, but that's not her entire role. She matters to the plot because by the time we get to the finale, she is essential. Without her, Conquest would have slaughtered everyone. As I said in a previous review, if she can ever overcome and get rid of those mental blocks, she would be the most powerful character in the show. On the relationship side of things, I liked that Mark and Eve don't just get together and immediately become some perfect, effortless couple. Their relationship has awkwardness, pressure, and uncertainty, which makes their relationship feel very human. I love that at first, Eve is unsure about their relationship because of what future Eve said. I think Mark did the right thing by being honest, but I think he should have chosen his words more carefully. Debbie continues to be one of the emotional anchors of the show. I really liked seeing her find some happiness with Paul. After everything she's been through, it was nice seeing her have something softer and more hopeful. At the same time, because this is Invincible, even those happier moments come with some tension because you're always wondering what's going to happen next. At some point, Paul is going to have to meet Omniman, and I'm very curious to see how that's going to go. One of the curveballs this season was Powerplex. What an amazing character. Seriously, one of the best parts of the season. He is such a tragic human villain because his pain makes complete sense. He's not just evil for the sake of it. He is a broken man whose family was destroyed by superhero collateral damage, and he's completely consumed by that rage. There are a lot of emotional similarities between him and Angstrom Levy. Episode 6 is one of the best episodes in the series because of how well Powerplex is written. Aaron Paul absolutely killed the voice performance too. You could feel the pain, the bitterness, the obsession. Gosh, what an incredible episode. As with season 2, Rex ended up hitting me a lot harder this season than I expected. The show did such a good job of making him rootable and more human. I desperately wanted him and Ray to have a happy ending, but I'm glad that he went out as a true hero, saving his friends and millions of lives. One of the best compliments that I can give this show is that it knows how to take a character and make them go from a bad guy to a good guy, from somebody you hate to somebody you like, and completely change your perspective. I'll talk some more about that in my season 4 reviews, specifically regarding Omniman. The pacing this season is excellent. What I especially love is that the season knows how to build and when to explode. It gives you slower material with Cecil, Debbie, Eve, Oliver, Titan, and Powerplex, but all of that character work pays off because once the final stretch kicks in, everything hits harder. Episodes 6, 7, and 8 are absolutely ridiculous in the best way. This season basically stops letting Mark breathe. First, you get Powerplex, then you get Angstrom's master plan with the invincible variants ravaging Earth, then Conquest shows up to finish the apocalypse. That run of episodes is the best stretch this show has ever had. Episode 7 especially blew me away. The Invincible War actually felt catastrophic. It felt big and desperate, like the whole world was losing. I loved seeing so many heroes get involved, and I even liked that some side characters got brutally wiped out because it reinforced that this world is dangerous and no one is guaranteed safety. Rex's sacrifice hits hard. Darkwing's moment was crazy, and the battered condition of the remaining heroes made the threat feel real. Seeing Wolfman, Business Baby, Best Tiger, Two Punch Man, The Hunk, British Knight, Bolt, Big Mildew, and a bunch of other heroes injured or killed was tough. It truly made the Invincible War feel hopeless. And to be honest, it was hopeless. The only reason it ended was because of Angstrom Levy. If he hadn't sent the variants away, the planet would have been turned to dust. I love that because again, it shows how powerful Mark has yet to become. Then Conquest shows up, and it's one of the best moments in the series. Jeffrey Dean Morgan was perfect casting. His "stand ready for my arrival, worm" immediately makes him feel like a monster. Not just powerful, but cruel, amused, and completely above everyone else. His arrival gave the finale a sense of doom that I loved. The final fight is brutal and exhausting in exactly the way it should be. Again, Mark cannot win on his own. Oliver cannot win on his own. Eve is essential, and everybody is getting torn apart. Everybody is desperate, and it genuinely feels like survival. And even when the heroes win, it doesn't actually feel like they've won. So the stakes are incredibly good in this season. Real quick, I have to shout out Steven Yeun because seeing him voice so many different Invincible variants during episode 7 was awesome. He gave each version a different feel, which made the multiverse concept work even better. This is another thing I mentioned in my season 2 review, but when it comes to the animation, I think this is probably one area where the season does have some noticeable weaknesses. I still love the art style of Invincible. I still love the color palette. I still love the overall visual identity of the show. The world is vibrant, and when the show wants to hit you with a striking image, it absolutely can. So I don't want to sound like I'm trashing the animation because I'm not. But I do want to point out a fair criticism that the animation in this season is not even on the same level as in season 1. There are definitely moments where you can feel corners being cut. Sometimes movement is limited, sometimes scenes don't have the visual intensity they could have, but the biggest thing for me is the lighting and shading. That's where I feel the downgrade the most. There are scenes that would look dramatically better with just a little more depth, shadow, and polish. It's not that the animation ruins the show because it absolutely doesn't. The storytelling is so strong that I can look past it nearly all the time. I just know that some people can't, so I figured I'd mention this. This show clearly spends a lot on major voice talent, and that's cool because the performances are excellent, but I do wonder how much that impacts the animation resources. If future seasons could continue to maintain this level of writing and voice work while upgrading the lighting and visual polish overall, then this show would become even more untouchable than it already is, because for me, it is untouchable. One thing that I'm really excited about moving forward into season 4 is how many different plot threads this season leaves and teases. You've got Mark finally shifting towards Oliver's worldview and becoming a colder, more dangerous version of himself. You've got Cecil keeping Conquest alive, which feels like one of the most reckless disaster setups imaginable. You've got Angstrom fully healed, working with the technicians, which means we will certainly see him again. The Sequids are back, Battlebeast is still alive, Darkblood and Satan are clearly building towards something bigger, and even smaller threads like Mr. Liu surviving make the world feel like it's still moving in dangerous ways outside of Mark's immediate story. The way the season ends left me genuinely excited, curious, and stressed about where this chaos heads next. The final thing that I want to say is that the music, as with previous seasons, was incredible. Seriously, I have zero complaints here. Invincible continues to have some of the best needle drops in superhero TV. The songs are used with confidence and they fit the emotions of the scene so well. Whether it's something moody, tragic, reflective, or hype, the show understands how to pick tracks that elevate the moment instead of distracting from it. I loved hearing artists like Joji, Billie Eilish, and Run the Jewels show up in this season. The soundtrack has a strong sense of taste because it never feels random. It always feels chosen with intention, and when a show already has this much emotional weight, smart music choices can make scenes hit harder, which is exactly what happens here. Invincible Season 3 is everything I want from a superhero show. It's brutal, emotional, character-driven, and willing to ask hard questions instead of hiding behind empty spectacle. Even with my criticisms about the animation, the writing, voice acting, music, and emotional payoff are so strong that they completely outweigh those weaknesses for me. This season gave us some of the best character work the series has done, some of the highest stakes it has ever had, and a finale that reminded me exactly why I love this show so much. As it stands, Season 3 is my favorite season of Invincible so far, and if the series can keep building on everything it set up here, then I honestly think it has the potential to keep getting even better. I am beyond impressed with this show, and I wholeheartedly recommend it. Thank you for listening to my review of Invincible Season 3. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and hit subscribe. If you did not enjoy the video, I'm sending Conquest after you. As always, I'd love to read what you have to say, so leave a comment and let me know what you're thinking. Also, if there's something you want to see reviewed, don't forget to let me know and I will do my best to get to it. Lastly, if you want to see some more from me, then you can check out my vlogs linked up above or my podcast, Good Friends. Again, thank you for watching. My name is Diego and I will see you next time.